The waiter who thought he could get away with anything went from being a nobody to the nation's biggest target overnight. He wrecked his career and his reputation so badly that even the FBI came knocking at his door. It seemed like the end. But what happened next was even more shocking. Let's dive into how it all spiraled out of control. Travis, 22, had been working at this high-end restaurant in the heart of New York City for almost a year. It was the kind of place where the floor sparkled, the menu had no prices, and the customers behaved like the world revolved around them. He'd seen it all: business tycoons snapping fingers at servers, celebrities with egos bigger than their entourage, and socialites demanding special treatment like they owned the air everyone was breathing. Travis had mastered the art of rolling his eyes without anyone noticing. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for the day Barron Trump walked in. It started off like any other shift. Travis was half listening to his coworker rant about her rent going up while polishing silverware. The dining room buzzed with the usual pretentious chatter, the kind where people talked louder just so others could hear how important they were. Travis wasn't even paying attention to the tall kid who walked in wearing a hoodie and jeans. At first, Barron looked like any other low-profile teenager dragged to a fancy place by overly ambitious parents. But then whispers began. A middle-aged man at a nearby table leaned toward his wife, murmuring something while glancing at Barron. A ripple effect followed. Heads turned, eyes widened, and before long, everyone knew who he was. Travis felt his stomach tighten. Not because he was starstruck, far from it. Growing up in a household obsessed with political conspiracy theories had made him resent anything remotely connected to power or privilege. His parents had posters of their guy in the living room, and every Thanksgiving dinner turned into a heated debate about how the world was run by elite families. Travis couldn't stand it. He'd moved out the second he could afford rent, hoping to leave all that behind. And now, here he was, staring at the literal embodiment of everything he despised. Barron Trump, casually flipping through a book at a corner table like he owned the place. "Travis, table 9, his manager barked, jerking him out of his thoughts. Table 9, Barron's table. Travis grabbed the tray with the kid's order. A perfectly cooked steak, medium rare, plated like a work of art. Every instinct told him to keep it professional, but something inside him snapped. Maybe it was the smug smile of the couple at table 7, the ones who always left a 5% tip. Maybe it was the fact that his roommate still hadn't paid rent, leaving Travis to cover for the 3rd month in a row. Or maybe he was just done pretending everything was fine. As he approached the table, he felt a heat rising in his chest. Without a second thought, he slammed the plate down so hard it rattled the silverware. The steak slid dangerously close to the edge of the plate. "Enjoy your meal, Your Highness," Travis said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Barron looked up, his expression calm but curious, like he was trying to figure out if Travis was serious. Travis leaned in slightly, his voice barely above a whisper. "Hope your family's proud of all their power." For a moment, the room seemed to hold its breath. A couple of nearby diners froze mid-bite, their forks suspended in the air. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Barron didn't flinch. He didn't argue or retaliate. He simply closed his book, reached into his pocket, and tossed a few crisp bills onto the table. Then, without saying a word, he stood up and walked out, leaving behind a silence so awkward it was deafening. Travis felt a strange mix of satisfaction and regret. His co-worker shot him a wide-eyed look from across the room, mouthing, "What did you just do?" But before he could process what had happened, the whispers started again, this time louder, more pointed. That was the moment Travis realized he might have just made the biggest mistake of his life. Travis walked into the restaurant the next day feeling strangely confident. Sure, he had pushed some boundaries with Barron Trump, but in his mind, it wasn't a big deal. People threw attitude around here all the time, guests to servers, servers to guests. It was just another day in the chaos of restaurant life. The dining room was unusually quiet for a weekday. As he passed by the tables, a few coworkers shot him nervous glances, whispering behind his back. Travis shrugged it off. "They're just jealous I've got the guts to speak my mind," he thought. But the mood shifted when his manager, a no-nonsense guy named Mr. Howard, appeared at the doorway to the kitchen. "Travis," he called, his tone sharper than usual. "Office, now." Travis rolled his eyes, but complied, casually strolling to the back. "What now?" he muttered under his breath, fully expecting a lecture about professionalism or some other boring corporate talk. When he opened the door to the office, he froze. Sitting across from Mr. Howard was a man in a perfectly tailored navy blue suit, the kind that screamed, "I bill by the minute." His briefcase rested neatly on the desk, and he looked up at Travis with an expression so calm it was unsettling. "Good morning, Mr. Barnes," the man began, his voice smooth but icy. "My name is Jonathan Carter, and I represent the Trump family." Travis felt the blood drain from his face. "Wait, what? You're serious?" Mr. Carter ignored the question and continued, his tone as polite as it was terrifying. "It has come to our attention that your behavior yesterday was inappropriate, to say the least. My client, Barron Trump, has no interest in escalating this matter, but I must warn you, actions have consequences." Travis opened his mouth to respond, but Mr. Howard shot him a glare that said, "Don't make this worse." "As it stands," Mr. Carter continued, "your actions have put this establishment in a precarious position. The family is considering legal action for defamation and emotional distress." "Defamation?" Travis blurted out. "I didn't even say anything that bad." The lawyer's smile didn't waver. "I'm not here to argue semantics, Mr. Barnes. I'm here to ensure that this restaurant understands the gravity of the situation. Good day." With that, he stood, adjusted his tie, and left without another word. The door clicked shut, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. Mr. Howard turned to Travis, his face a deep shade of red. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Travis shrugged. "Come on, it's not like I—" "You're going to apologize," Mr. Howard snapped, cutting him off. "You're going to track down Mr. Trump, apologize personally, and pray he drops this, or you're done here." Travis stared at him, his pride flaring up. "You think I'm going to grovel to some privileged kid just because his dad used to run the country? Forget it." That was the last straw. Mr. Howard didn't even bother raising his voice. "Get out," he said coldly. "You're fired." By the time Travis got home, his phone was buzzing non-stop. Confused, he checked his notifications. A video of the previous day's incident had been posted online, and it was blowing up. The clip showed him slamming the plate down in front of Barron, followed by his sarcastic remarks. The captions weren't doing him any favors. "Entitled waiter harasses teen," and "disrespect at its worst." Travis groaned. Great, just great. At first, he tried to brush it off. People forget these things in a week, he told himself. But as the hours passed, the situation spiraled out of control. Comments flooded in by the thousands. Some called him a hero for standing up to the elite, but most were far less kind. "Who does this guy think he is?" one comment read. Another said, "This is why people hate millennials." It got worse. By the next morning, someone had posted his full name, address, and even an old high school photo. Strangers started messaging him, some with support, but most with threats. His phone rang constantly, the calls ranging from reporters to pranksters to people he didn't even know existed. Friends and coworkers stopped replying to his messages. Even his landlord called, asking if he could keep things quiet, because reporters were apparently knocking on neighbors' doors. The final blow came when Travis peeked out his window to see a small crowd of journalists camped outside. Microphones and cameras were pointed at his building, waiting for a glimpse of him. For the first time, the gravity of what he'd done hit him. His stomach churned as he realized this wasn't going to blow over. This was just the beginning. By the fifth morning after his firing, Travis was at his breaking point. The world outside felt hostile, and the internet was even worse. Viral videos, hate comments, and nonstop calls made him feel trapped in his own home. He barely had the energy to get off the couch when the loud knocking at his door began. At first, he thought it was another journalist or an overzealous neighbor trying to get a soundbite. With a groan, he dragged himself to the door, expecting the worst. But nothing could have prepared him for what he saw when he opened it. Two men in dark suits, wearing serious expressions, stood on the other side. One of them held up a badge. "Travis Barnes?" the taller one asked. Yeah," Travis replied, already dreading what was coming next. "Special Agent Collins, FBI," the man said. "This is my partner, Special Agent Davis. We're here to talk about your involvement in an ongoing investigation related to cyber threats." Travis blinked, his heart racing. Cyber threats? What? No. There's gotta be some mistake. I don't even know how to code. Collins didn't flinch. We've traced multiple threats made against high-profile individuals, including politicians and business leaders. Your name and details have been connected to these incidents. Travis felt like the ground was slipping out from under him. You've got the wrong guy, he stammered. I swear I didn't do anything. The agents weren't here for an argument. Mr. Barnes, Davis said firmly, we need you to come with us to answer some questions, now. Hours later, Travis sat in a cold, windowless room at the local FBI office. His nerves frayed as he tried to explain himself. I'm telling you, I don't even own a laptop, he blurted, trying to keep his voice steady. Collins scribbled something in his notebook. So you're saying you have no knowledge of the threats sent from accounts linked to your name? None, Travis said, exasperated. Do you know what I've been dealing with? My life's already in shambles. Why would I make it worse? The agents pressed him on his whereabouts, online activity, and anyone who might have had access to his information. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they let him go, acknowledging that his alibi checked out. But Collins left him with a warning. Your name is out there, Mr. Barnes. People are using it. This is the kind of fallout you can expect when you're caught in a public controversy. Public controversy. Travis nearly laughed at the absurdity. All he had done was slam a plate on a table, and now he was tangled up in FBI investigations and internet scandals. When Travis got home, he collapsed onto the couch, exhausted and defeated. His name was ruined, his career obliterated, and now he was being blamed for crimes he didn't commit. Job applications were a lost cause. Every interview ended with polite but firm rejections, the kind where hiring managers gave excuses about his reputation. Even places desperate for staff didn't want to deal with the PR nightmare he brought. Worse, strangers recognized him on the street. Some pointed fingers or whispered behind his back, while others yelled insults outright. One man even followed him for a block, ranting about respect and manners. For days, Travis spiraled, feeling like the walls were closing in. But just as he was about to give up entirely, something unexpected happened. Barron Trump broke his silence. The internet buzzed as Barron posted a lengthy message addressing the incident. I don't hold any resentment toward Travis Barnes, the post began. Everyone makes mistakes, and I believe people deserve second chances. It's important to remember that no one should lose their entire life over a moment of frustration. Let's focus on understanding and forgiveness, not tearing people down. Travis read the post 3 times, unable to believe it was real. Barron Trump, the kid he'd insulted in front of an entire restaurant, was defending him? The response was immediate. The post went viral, sparking debates about cancel culture and how easily someone's life could be destroyed over a single incident. For the first time in weeks, the tide began to turn. Some people started to express sympathy for Travis, questioning whether the punishment fit the crime. The shift in public opinion didn't erase everything, but it gave Travis a glimmer of hope. Inspired by Barron's words, he decided to take control of his life again. He began volunteering at a local nonprofit that helped people struggling with mental health and emotional recovery. The work wasn't glamorous, but it gave him a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. Over time, Travis rebuilt his life piece by piece. He learned to channel his anger and frustration into something productive, realizing that his downfall wasn't just about one mistake. It was about the unresolved bitterness he'd carried for years. Though the scars of his experience remained, Travis emerged stronger, wiser, and determined not to let his past define him. And while the world might not forget the viral waiter incident, he was finally at peace with the man he was becoming. What would you have done in Travis's place? Do you think he deserved the backlash, or was it too much? Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you or someone you know ever faced a similar situation? Let us know. Don't forget to like and share if this story resonated with you. This story was created to shed light on real issues, spark conversations, and inspire positive change. Your voice matters. Together, we can make the world a better place.